Hi, everyone. This is Megan from the Wisconsin Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and I am here to share our community safety series, and this video is part 2. We're going to discuss important laws that impact travel for individuals who are blind or visually impaired. The 2 laws I'm going to go over today are the Pedestrian Safety Enhancement Act of 2010 and the White Cane Law, specifically the White Cane Law for Wisconsin. The Pedestrian Safety Enhancement Act of 2010 was signed into law by President Barack Obama in 2011. Basically, this law is really simple. It requires that electric and hybrid vehicles, which have very quiet engines, make a minimum sound level so travelers who are blind or visually impaired can hear them. What's important to note about this law is that full compliance was set to take place in September of 2019. So what this means is that there are older vehicles out there, since hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles have been around for a long time. So there are vehicles out there that are not going to emit a sound. So please be cautious when you're traveling. Next up, I want to share a YouTube video, just a short news story from the Associated Press on this law.
Crossing a hybrid-filled street in San Francisco can be stressful if you can't see the quiet cars coming.
If you've got a couple of quiet cars, hybrid cars, that are the first couple of cars in that surge, you can easily make a mistake about when is the most appropriate time to cross.
Researchers found that blind pedestrians were twice as likely to be hit by quiet cars than gas-burning vehicles at low speeds.
They could tell whether the internal combustion engine car was coming from the right or left, sometimes 3 or 4 seconds before they could make that decision about the hybrid car.
Earlier this year, President Obama signed the Pedestrian Safety Enhancement Act, giving auto manufacturers until 2017 to come up with a solution to the problem of noiseless cars. Some companies have already installed artificial sound systems to new hybrid and electric vehicle models like the Toyota Prius, the Nissan Leaf, and the Chevy Volt.
What we've done for the Volt is we've installed a driver-activated chirp, so that when a driver sees that they're coming up on somebody, they can push the button on the end of the blinker stock, and it sends out a nice friendly chirp just to let the pedestrian know that they're coming up on them. The chirp button is right at the end of this stock. You just push it, and it's a friendly horn.
But right now, there's no consensus on exactly what hybrids should sound like. Martinez wants the sound to be uniform and not customized.
Whether it's, a digital robotic sound or birds chirping, I don't think it's going to be intuitive for pedestrians to know, oh, this is a car.
But not everyone agrees that silent vehicles present a real danger. Anti-noise activists say the real problem is distracted drivers. Haven Daily, Associated Press, San Francisco.
One thing I want to point out about this video is that if you'll notice about in the middle of the video, they shared a few different examples of the noises that some of the cars emitted. Those 3 different noises came from 3 different cars. So there's not a standard noise that these vehicles will emit. So that's important to keep in mind as well. The next law I'm going to talk about is one that you're probably pretty familiar with, and that's the Wisconsin White Cane Law. So Wisconsin's White Cane Law statute states that an operator of a vehicle shall stop the vehicle before approaching closer than 10 feet to a pedestrian who is carrying a cane or walking stick which is white in color or white trimmed with red, and which is held in an extended or raised position, or who is using a dog guide, and shall take such precautions as may be necessary to avoid accident or injury to the pedestrian. So basically what this means is that an operator of a vehicle must stop at least 10 feet or more before approaching someone who is blind or visually impaired and is carrying a cane or using a guide dog. or excuse me, a dog guide. The statute also states that two other important pieces. One is which, if by chance you happen to be traveling and you don't have your cane on you, maybe it broke and you're just waiting for a new one, or you don't happen to have your dog guide with you that day, that you still have the same rights as every other pedestrian does. Please note, I am not advocating that you travel. If you travel with a cane or with a dog guide, I'm not advocating that you do so, but I'm just pointing out that the statute does say that you still have rights as every pedestrian does. Finally, the statute also hits on that individuals who are not blind or visually impaired may not impersonate someone who is blind or visually impaired. So that would mean that I, as a sighted person, could not take a cane and travel around town and pretend to be blind. Finally, just a few interesting facts. So Wisconsin has had the white cane law in effect and has been enforced since 1947, which is 74 years, which I think is super cool. Additionally, it's interesting to know that there is actually a penalty if you do violate this law. The first time a vehicle operator violates this law, they can receive a fine between $25 and $200. And then the second time, that fine can be between $50 and $500. And then finally, I just wanted to touch on that on October 15th, we celebrate White Cane Safety Day. And the Wisconsin Council of the Blind and Visually Impaired has a really neat kit on their website. I have linked this resource in your resource document that is in the description of this video. So please feel free to check that out. And if you celebrate White Cane Day, what do you do? And what is your favorite way to raise awareness? Please feel free to share a comment about your favorite way to celebrate and raise awareness. In conclusion, if you have detailed questions about how these laws impact your travel individually, please talk to your orientation and mobility specialist, as they are going to be able to give you the best information about how these impact you as an individual. Thank you for watching.